It's the middle of July, it's 95 degrees outside. You've already shocked your pool 3 times this week with a product like this, and your test kit is still showing you 0 free chlorine, and your water's starting to look a little hazy. If that sounds familiar, you just hit the midsummer wall, and a lot of pool owners call this chlorine lock, but the truth is, your chlorine isn't actually locked. It's trapped, though, by a chemical ratio error that is costing you money every day. So in this video, I'm going to show you 3 easy steps to figure out why your chlorine is not working, how to fix it fast, and how to get it crystal clear again without throwing more useless chemicals into the deep end. We've got a storm rolling in this evening, so I hope you can hear me over the wind. First, let's talk about CYA, or Cyanuric Acid, also known as stabilizer or conditioner. Think of CYA as sunscreen for your chlorine. Without it, the intense summer UV rays can destroy about 90% of your free chlorine within just about 2 hours. The problem was, is that most pool owners use these 3-inch trichlor tabs or dichlor shock bags. And every time you use one of those, you're pumping more CYA into your water. And unlike chlorine, your CYA, stabilizer, conditioner, never evaporates. It just keeps building up. And when your CYA reaches 80 to 100 parts per million, it binds so tightly to the chlorine that the chlorine cannot sanitize the water anymore. That's what people mean when they say chlorine lock. To kill algae in July, your free chlorine has to be about 7.5% of your total CYA level. So if your CYA is at 100 parts per million, 1 or 2 parts per million of free chlorine isn't going to do anything. In that scenario, you would need to maintain 8 parts per million of free chlorine just to stay clear. Step 2 we'll call the midsummer audit, but really you should be doing it weekly anyway, and that's testing your water, specifically your combined chlorine. When chlorine burns off sweat, sunscreen, swimmer waste, or algae, it turns into combined chlorine, which causes that strong chlorine smell that people complain about. So free chlorine is the active sanitizer waiting to clean your pool. Total chlorine would be the total amount of chlorine in your pool. And to find your combined chlorine, you just take your total chlorine minus your free chlorine, and that equals your combined chlorine. If you have a combined chlorine reading of higher than 0.5 parts per million, your pool has an active organic load. Your chlorine isn't locked, it's actively fighting an invisible fight and losing because it's not reaching breakpoint chlorination. Step 3 is to break the cycle and fix your water chemistry, and you can do that fairly quickly. If your CYA is over 90 parts per million, diluting is the right answer. There's no magical chemical in a bottle that you can put in your pool and lower your CYA reliably, unfortunately. So if your CYA is off the charts, then the fastest solution is a partial drain, about 10 to 20% of the water, and just refill with fresh water. Whatever you do, don't try to drain more than that. And I get it. I know I'm going to get this in the comments. Somebody's going to tell us that they drain their pool every 3 years, every 4 years, or however long to maintain their water chemistry. And that's fine if it works for them. But I'm talking to a lot of pool owners here, and I want to be sure that I caution you. If you drain your pool too much, you can cause a lot of damage. I've seen pools that are literally popped out of the ground from groundwater pressure. So don't drain it unless you know exactly what you're doing beyond about 20%, a third at the very most. The next thing you want to do is stop using stabilized forms of chlorine while you're having this issue. You can go back to those 3-inch tabs later after you correct the problem, but for the time being, don't use any stabilized form of chlorine. So for the next 2 weeks, you're not going to use any stabilized form of chlorine in your pool. Instead, you're going to switch to liquid chlorine or sodium hypochlorite. It sanitizes right away and doesn't add a single drop of CYA or calcium to your pool. The next thing I want you to do is shock at night. Pour your liquid chlorine in after the sun goes down. This gives the chlorine all night to fight contaminants without fighting UV degradation. You also need to make sure that you reach breakpoint chlorination, which I put a chart in the video earlier, and I'll also put it in the video description so you can go back and refer to it. It's going to be a different amount for everybody's situation, but whatever it is, it's going to be more than you normally use to shock your pool. And if I can get my hands on a link to a calculator, I'll put that in the video description or the pinned comment as well. The good news is that once you get your CYA back into that sweet spot of 30 to 50 parts per million and hit your target for your free chlorine levels, your water should clear up in about 24 to 48 hours. Drop a comment below with your current CYA and free chlorine numbers. If you're not sure how to balance your ratio, let me know your readings and I'll help you calculate what you need. If this video helped you out, then hit that like button and consider subscribing for more pool care tips right here on Clearwater Chronicles. Thanks for watching, and remember, belly flops build character.